Hello, folks. My name is Lorenzo, Big Flem, coming to you once again with a new episode of Lorenzo's Commentaries. This will be a special edition. Right now, I'm still debating whether I should make this as a separate podcast, show, or just a special edition of Lorenzo's Commentaries. It will be entitled Conversations with Big Flem. Like I say, if you want to chime in and give your thoughts on should I make Conversations with Big Flem a separate podcast episode, or it should be a special edition of Lorenzo's Commentary, please let us know. And I'll leave the information on the screen shortly. Like I said, the reason why I would like to do Lorenzo's Commentary is that I like to kind of put my spin on the current issues of the day, talk about whatever pressing issue that's affecting us, affecting me, directly or indirectly, to your family, as well as the world around us. I'm a firm believer in broadening my horizons. I believe in expanding my knowledge of what I know outside of my neighborhood, my hood, ghetto, barrio, whatever you choose to call your abode. I'm a firm believer in expanding my horizons, not just know what's in my neighborhood. I want to know what's outside of my neighborhood, outside of my state, outside of my city, what goes on in another part of the world. It might not directly affect me, but sometimes it's good to stay on top of certain events, current events that happen. Like I just said a few minutes ago, we're doing a special edition of Lorenzo's Commentary entitled Conversations with Big Flem. And the subject that we will be discussing today is about holding grudges. I'm sure that we all are guilty of holding grudges against people, against organizations, for whatever reason, family members, or for whatever reason, whether your cousin, distant cousin, didn't come to your birthday party, 6 or 7 years ago, or your daughter is angry with you because you don't support their ideas, or your son, or your spouse might not agree with, you went out and bought a Corvette, and stuff like that, and she feels that you're wasting money, and it's not going towards taking care of things around the house. But I would like to focus on basically grudges, something like that. Like I said, I've held grudges against people in my lifetime. Like I said, since I'm the host of this show, I like to expound upon my experiences with grudges. I have held grudges against people who've done me wrong for whatever reason, hurt me, said negative things about me, about my family, about my views, my quirks, idiosyncrasies. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have my share of quirks and idiosyncrasies, otherwise I would be human. I have been people who made fun of me, or they determined me out being ugly. I have grown up, people snickering behind my back, snickering down the hall when I walked down the hall in school, making fun of me. Back then I was wearing glasses full time, so I wore glasses for like at least 20, 35 years of my life. I'm 55, almost 56 years old. So I had people make fun of my accent, or make fun of me because I don't look a certain way. Going back to the subject at hand, I know that this holding grudges is not a good thing. We're not supposed to hold grudges against people. Yes, some people make us mad, or upset us, or offend us in a kind of way, but we have to learn to forgive one another. Like the Bible says, forgive and shall be forgiven to us. Even when Peter, when Jesus said that to Peter, Peter said, if my brother offends me 70 times, do we forgive him? How many times do we forgive him? Jesus responded back saying, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. So basically, Jesus said, continue to forgive. Like I said, going back to what I said earlier, yeah, I held grudges. I'll use an example. I held grudge against my biological father. The backstory to that is that I hardly knew my biological father. Growing up in Georgia, Southeast Georgia, I never received a birthday card from him. Not most of my life I haven't. Not by his own handwriting. I have received, over the last decade, 11, 12 years, years, yeah, I sent him birthday cards, holiday cards, Father's Day cards, so on and so forth. And I have received some back on occasion. It would be nice that if it was his handwriting on the card that he bought himself, that he purchased for himself, that would be great. But getting back to the subject at hand here, folks, I'm holding grudges. Yeah, I held grudges for most of my life. I seen kids, have nice clothes growing up. When I was growing up, I didn't have the best of everything. I had the dollar store stuff. I had the Payless shoes. I didn't have the fancy clothes. I had a few, not that much, not like a lot of folks I grew up with in Midway, Georgia, Liberty County, and stuff like that. I didn't have the Jerry curl. I grew up in the 80s, to give you more backdrop. I grew up in the 80s, yes. The Jerry curls, whatever, Michael Jackson jackets, leather pants, Don Johnson jackets, all those things that glamorized the 1980s. For those who live in the 80s, you know what I'm talking about, so you kind of get what I'm saying. So anyway, yeah, my father, never contacted me on my birthdays. In fact, like I said, I saw my father for the first time when I was 12 years old. One of my cousins who came to visit my house, and we went to visit my maternal grandparents' house. And that's where I met my father for the first time when I was 12 years old. And I met my siblings, my half brothers and my half sisters. I had my half brother and two half sisters. I met them. They were younger than me. And I met them, like I said. I never had a birthday card, never had a birthday party, never got the nicest things. He only called me once. And it hurt. It really hurt. He never played a role in my life. I never participated in sports with my father. And those kind of things like normal kids would do with both parents in the home. So I guess you could say I was raised in a single family home. My mother raised me along with my younger brother and my younger sister. And going back to the subject at hand, yes, I wish I would have had a biological father that was there for me growing up, provide for me like he should growing up. I never got a penny in child support from my father. So you can say, for some folks, if you were viewing this, you might take this with a narrow point of view that, yeah, I'm one of those statistical, coming from a broken home, so-called broken home or a single parent home, statistics about African Americans from single homes, all that jazz, all that blah, 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 blah. But still, throughout all that, I managed to survive. I managed to make something out of myself. I made a career out of the military. I served, and I'm currently serving in the United States Army. Well, now I'm in the Army Reserves. I've served, before that, I served 15 years active duty. I did 2 combat tours in Iraq, and I did 6 months deployment, contingency operations deployment in Kuwait. I won numerous awards and accolades for my military service. And I've developed a strong work ethic because of the military. Like I said, when I was growing up, yeah, I was a lazy kid. My mom could tell you that I was a lazy kid when I was growing up. I didn't want to do nothing. My mother used to fuss at me all the time about being lazy, take out the trash, wash the dishes, so on and so forth, and all that good stuff. But getting back to the subject at hand about grudges, yes, I hold a grudge about my father. And then in 2015, when I last visited my home state of Georgia, visit my hometown, spend time with my mother and my family, I went and visit my father. And we took pictures, we talked a little bit, and stuff like that. So, and that's when I started sending him, Christmas cards, birthday cards, Father's Day cards, and all that good stuff. And like I said, I received those in kind, over time and stuff like that. But like I said, I made a decision a long time ago to forgive my father, my biological father, for not being there, to being the father that he should, to help mold and raise me and shape me to be a better man than I should have been. Like I said, I've always been a work in progress. I've made mistakes in my life. I made a lot of bad judgment calls and stuff like that. So, and I know that you probably might experience the same thing, or you probably have family members or co-workers or loved ones that experience the same thing. You held grudge against your parents, whether your mother or your father, for swatting the flies and stuff. I'm in my backyard doing this video podcast, so please forgive me, folks. And also, please forgive me if I seem like I'm rambling on or I'm probably getting off topic, but I'll try to do my best to stay on topic. So, with that being said, yes, I made a lot of mistakes. You know, I'm human. Everybody's human. We all make mistakes. So I forgave my father a long time ago, and I moved on with my life. I do my best not to dwell on that. That hey, you know, he was an absentee father. He was a deadbeat dad, with that terminology they use today, and stuff like that. And also another example, I don't usually talk about that. I have the same situation with my own daughter. I have a 29-year-old daughter who's currently married, who's been married for a year now. You know, my daughter can say that I haven't been a perfect father. You know, and so I swore when my daughter was born back in 1994 that I wouldn't be the father that my father was to me. But unfortunately, in some cases, it happened. It didn't happen that way. Mainly one, because of my military duty. Because of number two, there was some issues between me and the baby mama, stuff like that, and her side of the family, and the relationship strained. And then my daughter holds a grudge against me when I failed. I missed out on birthdays, you know, I was able to see my daughter graduate from high school. I thank God for that. I was able to see my daughter graduate to get her master's degree. I missed out on seeing her get her bachelor's degree at Georgia Southern University. And then because of some issues, I missed out on my daughter's engagement/birthday party. And then because of further erosion of our relationship, I wasn't able to attend my daughter's wedding. And I know that it hurts, and it hurts me to this day. For the same reason, my daughter holds a grudge against me because of mistakes and things that I failed to do. And I own up to the mistakes that I made as far as our relationship. And hopefully that she will continue to forgive me, as well as her husband, my son-in-law. They forgive me and stuff like that. But moving right along, folks, it's about grudges. You know, we cannot be sitting here holding grudges against people. People made mistakes. People did some wrong things and whatever. We need to work on trying to forgive one another. I know it's hard for some people to forget certain things that happened to them that caused them to have grudges against people, depending on the seriousness of the event or the offense. You know, we got to forgive. We got to move on. We can't spend the rest of our lives holding grudges against people. I've seen it happen with mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, you know, other level, brothers and sisters. You know, we shouldn't be having that because life is too short. And like I said, the Bible says tomorrow is not promised to anybody. You're here today, tomorrow you might be dead. You might be dead in 5 minutes or 5 seconds from now. You know, heaven forbid. But, you know, we just got to learn to let go. And if you feel that the offense is too strong where you can't let go and move on, well, at least try to forgive. If you don't want to maintain that relationship with that certain person, then so be it. And just move on with life. But I hope and pray that it will come to that. That, you know, let bygones be bygones and try to rebuild their relationship. And you don't want be there on that day when that particular individual passed away, and then it's like, you know, you boo-hooing and bah-ha'd at the funeral and said, oh, you know, I should have made up with this person. I should have apologized to that person. Or I shouldn't have held this grudge for so long because of this or that. You know, we need to forgive, folks. We need to forgive. And that's what the Bible says, a Christian upbringing. For those who are Christian, you know, that's what the Bible said. We got to forgive and let go. And if you don't want to maintain that relationship, then so be it. You know, like I said, forgive at least, you know, apologize and forgive that person who offended you, or you offended somebody. Apologize for what you did and let them go and let it go. If they choose not to forgive you, or they choose not to forget what you did to them, then so be it. What can you do? All right, folks. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Holding Grudges on our special edition of Lorenzo's Commentary here on Big Flem Radio and TV.